Welcome to the According Sources podcast. I am your host, Andre Williams, and I am joined today by Baylor, aka BTG, aka on everybody's podcast, aka has a million podcasts himself. Baylor, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
We've been trying,
Give the people what they want.
yeah, we've been trying to do this podcast for like 35 hours, so
Hmm.
we just gonna jump right into last night. Last night, KD had 43 points, 13 rebounds, 13,
13 rebounds, 7 assists.
7 to 6. And I think the conversation on Twitter has been about how he's jumped into the leader for MVP. And I'm not sure that I quite agree with that. What about you?
No. I wouldn't say Curry is leading in a landslide, but because I think Curry was leading the pack with the first two games. KD had a monster game, but that doesn't mean that monster game trumps what happened prior to that. We still need one more game. Now, if he comes out and he scores anywhere between 30 and 45 again, then yeah, and with a sweep, yeah, you could give it to him.
Okay. Okay, I have a question for you because this has been like an ongoing thing. I've seen on Twitter, I believe Josh Eberly was the main proponent of this. He was saying that even if Cleveland is swept, LeBron James should win the MVP.
Well, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I said before that I don't think the MVP should go to the guy that's on the winning team unless his numbers was just that outstanding. Um, if I don't know if Bron has. Have you seen a better finals Bron than this one?
Um, yeah,
Last year was pretty good.
last
Although
year
I
was pretty
I
good.
felt like it should have. I felt like you know I don't know.
I think a
I
couple of those Miami finals was better than this LeBron James. Like I think what we've gotten into with LeBron is we've fallen in love with how he controls the game offensively and completing
mhm,
overlooking the fact that he is a negative on defense in every facet of the game at this point in his career. Obviously, because he
mhm,
does so much on the offensive end, but we still can't just be like, okay, well, he does so great on the offensive end that the defensive end doesn't matter. When he was
mhm.
younger, he could score the ball, rebound the ball, distribute the ball, and he was also playing top five defense in the league. So,
Yeah.
I understand that the numbers look really, really good. In particular, those numbers last night looked awesome. But I don't know if LeBron James actually had a good game last night. To be honest with you, and I know that's weird for a guy like me,
Um.
but that wasn't a good
Right.
game
Right.
from him. I didn't like him giving up those switches so quickly. I didn't like him deferring to Tristan Thompson in like a really, really big moment in the game, where there's nowhere in the world you should pass the ball to Tristan Thompson and ask him to score a big basket for you in that particular time in the game. I
Mhm.
understand that everybody loves LeBron, but I think the idea that a guy should get the MVP in a losing effort is absolutely ridiculous. It's
Well, I mean,
just
if you had to rank it, if you had to rank it, I would say he's probably third right now behind KD and Steph for the MVP of the finals. So, I mean, I'll give him some respect on that level. But no, I don't think it. No, first of all, if he gets swept, no, that's a negative right there. Yeah,
I mean,
that goes against you.
that was the first thing Everly said. He said if they get swept, even if they get swept, LeBron James should still be the MVP. And I understand everybody loves LeBron. It's a LeBron love fest at this point. But man, that just sounds like completely ridiculous to me. Now, what I would want to talk about is how Steph is playing so far, and I think people are forgetting what he's done in this series so far. I think you know this last game notwithstanding, he's pretty much controlled this series for me
Hmm.
personally. Um, he saved KD in that first game
Right,
when KD was not playing well at all. He saved him.
right.
Then
So
he played. Go ahead.
you could watch that game one KD with the game three Steph.
Exactly. So you watch those two games, and then game two, he set an NBA Finals record for made 3 pointers in a game with 9. Now, yeah,
Uh-huh.
KD had a hell of a game too, but we're not going to remember the game that KD had. We're going to remember the game that Steph had.
Well, the game one and game two for KD was identical, damn near. I think it was one stat off from being identical.
But did he score more points in that second game? What do you have, like 29 points or something? I want to say.
Did he have 29? I thought he
Yeah,
only had 26.
26. Okay, yeah, 26 points. But I think it was an efficient 26 points. Like he shot like 11 for 13 or something like that. Like he didn't miss any shots. So
Right.
that was the big thing for him in that game. But you're not going to remember that game. You're
No.
gonna remember Steph
The-
shooting
yeah,
9.
you're gonna remember the record.
I mean, it was 9 3 pointers, dude. Like he shot 9 for 15. I think that's what you'll remember about that game, which is why I don't believe it's such a foregone conclusion because he scored 43 points, and it was a big 43 points. It wasn't a quiet 43 points. He hit every big shot that they needed him to hit. I still don't
Mhm.
think that means that you omit everything else that Steph has done, in the other two games.
Right. That's why I said we still got to give it one more. I mean, it's you got to make it even. You got to make it even. Like, KD, I mean, they got to at least play 2 games each for us to determine that. You can't sweep anybody in 3 games. So, with that said, we'll see the next game. I think the next game is tomorrow,
Friday,
right?
yeah, Friday. They're trying to get Cleveland up out of here real quick after they gave them these long ass breaks, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. So with that said, yeah, I mean, hey, look, if they first of all if they get swept, I at least gave Bron 1 game. I think he's good enough to get 2, but I at least gave him one. If they spill champagne on that Cavaliers carpet again, that's crazy.
I don't know if they're gonna get that one game, man. I can't. I don't know. They all looked a bit deflated after that game because, in all honesty, you win that game. Like you're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
win that game when those two guys play as badly as they played. Clay and Steph, what were they? 11 for 27 or something in that
It
game.
was real bad. It was real bad.
And
At one point, I'm like, we probably don't even need Clay on the floor right now.
Clay was taking some real bad shots. I don't know the thought process behind some of them, but he's taking some really bad shots. And it wasn't like this was one of those games because we all talk about, man, LeBron has no help. LeBron has no help. Well, that wasn't the case last night. LeBron had a hell of a lot of help last night. I don't think we can say that
He had help from Clay.
yeah, he had help from Clay. He had help from Steph. Yeah, he had help from Jr. And everybody loves Rodney Hood now, and everybody loves Rodney Hood.
Oh my god.
Everybody
Let me
loves
say
Rodney
this
Hood.
real quick. I never did. When Rodney Hood would play for Duke, I didn't like him. I just didn't.
It's something about his game that is not appealing to me. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
don't
the
like
way
the
he
way he
dribbles.
dribbles.
I don't like the way he dribbles. I don't like the shots that he takes. Um, and I don't. I think he makes the same move like a million times. Like it's a million times he makes the same damn move. It's a spin move. He goes hard one way and he spins back. And yeah, sometimes it
Yeah.
works, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's Rodney Hood, man.
They call him a great defender. I didn't see him defending that well at Duke, so I didn't really pay attention to him. I chose not to pay that much attention to him when he was at Utah. I just didn't care for his career. I have to tell you the truth. But he did have what 15 points. I think you muted me. I think you're on mute, Dre. I think you're on mute.
I'm gonna have to edit this heavily. I need you to go upstairs. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm gonna
I,
have to edit
I was
that.
just hitting you. I was just hitting you up. Like I think you're on mute.
No, my wife called me, and when she makes a call, it just answers the phone automatically. But we can get back into it. What were we talking about? I'm gonna have to edit it, but whatever.
Oh no, I was saying. Dang, the last thing I said was, they called. Who was we talking about?
Rodney Hood.
Ronnie Hood. I said I never realized. I mean, I never seen him as a great defender at Duke. Um, I never seen him as a great defender at Duke, and I chose not to pay attention to his career that much when he was at Utah. So, but he did have 15 points, I think,
Yeah,
which
he had
was
15
something
points.
that which I mean they
Yeah,
needed that. So
they needed the 15 points, but everybody is acting like Rodney Hood was like some big part of the game that he was like put Rodney Hood in and like everything is going to change. And yeah, I don't know about that. This team
well,
wasn't.
they trying to stay ready. So if Braun, if he made a miraculous comeback, they're going to say, well, they should have started Rodney Hood a long time ago. But then they get swept tomorrow, and it's going to be he still didn't have enough help, and we knew this was coming.
Okay, here's a question I've been wanting to ask a lot of people. Does does LeBron deserve some of the blame for the amount of help that he has on his team?
This team, yeah, oh yeah, everything that went on this season is for most of it. I ain't gonna say most of it. I would say half of it goes to Bron. Ultimately, he put himself in position. He's the only superstar that actually played with two different teams in one season. Um, yeah, so I mean, he got to lay in that bed, but I still low key feel bad for him because even though he's going through what he's going through, and it's because of him, I see him trying. He still goes out there and try,
He does.
and when he puts it all out, there on the table, it's sad that his teammates is not there to help pick up the slack. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. Here's another question I have for you then. So you look at a guy like Rodney Hood in Utah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a scorer in Utah.
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Jordan Clarkson, and he's a scorer out in LA.
Yeah.
You look at a guy
Very good
like Kevin.
scorer.
You go look at a guy like Kevin Love, who's a scorer when he was in Minnesota. Like
UCLA.
I understand UCLA. You always have to rep LA. I understand, LeBron's talent. His talent level is so great that everybody does have to take a step back. But the way that he plays the game right now, it minimizes the talent of everybody else around him a little bit.
Definitely.
Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of these guys, like a guy like Rodney Hood, right? He came over and they basically just told him stand in the corner and shoot threes. But that's not the way he plays basketball. But when you play with
No,
LeBron
no.
James, that's the way you have to play basketball. So that's why I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I don't necessarily feel bad for LeBron because of the people that he has to play with, because the people that he has to play with, I mean, they have to play that way because that's because of the way that he plays basketball. They have to stand around, they have to wait for LeBron to get them a shot, and then they have to do something. They either have to shoot the ball or pass it right back to LeBron to get ready to see whether or not somebody else is going to get a shot. And then when
Mm-hmm.
LeBron isn't out on the floor, you're asking these guys that have typically not done any creating for themselves all season, you're asking them now, go and create for yourself. Well, we haven't done it all year. So why do you expect us to all of a sudden just be able to do these things that we've never done before? Like we haven't done it at all. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to be creators and do all these magical things that we weren't allowed to do all season. I'm not saying that it's LeBron's fault because he's great. But I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
the way that he is as a basketball player does contribute to the way that the people that he plays with have to play. Like the same
Right.
thing happened in Miami. Like Miami didn't win a championship until everyone acquiesced to his greatness. When it was Dwayne Wade, when they were going back and forth, they didn't win a championship and they struggled that first year. And then after they won
Right.
their championship those first 2 years, then after, I mean, the second year and the third year, and they kind of struggled that third year. And they definitely struggled the fourth year when they got blown out by San Antonio because towards the end of that, everybody was acquiescing to LeBron.
Right.
And that's just what you
Well,
have to
I
do.
mean, when you look at the rosters that he's played with, and especially the rosters that he won, he has someone that he could defer to that could create their own shot. So it is true that he does need those players to stand around and wait for the pass because those are that's the type of offense they built. Bron is going to penetrate, find the open guy. He has to be ready to shoot. But when it comes down to the fourth quarter, or maybe even late in the third, when you definitely need a bucket and those role players are not hitting, and Bron decides, hey, I know I'm 6'8", 270, but I just don't want to. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So now you got to look for, hey, look, Kevin Love, you had these stats, but yeah, like go ahead and do this now. Like, no, it doesn't work like that, especially if you haven't been doing that all season. Like you said, you know what I'm saying? So these players come over here and now it's like you got to take a major step back.
Yeah.
You know, even the superstars that come to play with him, you know, Wade, and then you got Bosh, they took a step back in their role.
Especially Bosh.
Right. Because cats forget, like, yo, the Bosh with the braids over there in Toronto, absolute monster.
He was putting up the same numbers that Kevin Love was putting up in Minnesota. The only difference is he was going to the playoffs every year.
Right. And he was handling his own. So for you to come and sit, you know, you cut your hair off, then you got to take 2 steps back. Not only that, I mean, you went from being the guy to being a third option and spot up and shoot. So, I mean, it takes a lot. Like, and people underestimate the ego part. Even me, I'm 35, a 35-year-old point guard. I still want to shoot the rock. I still want to shoot. I still want to bring the ball down. You know what I mean? So, you know, the whole thing with Kyrie, yeah, Kyrie said, look, I believe I'm the guy, whether you're here or not. And I'm not sure if that brushed him the wrong way, but you know, as Bron, you got to suck that up and be like, look, he's half the reason why I got this ring to Cleveland.
I think a couple things happened with Kyrie. There was a couple things, and I did want to talk about this. There's 2 things, right? Beyond just the Kyrie thing. There's a thing with LeBron. He marginalizes some talent and ostracizes others.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that's what happened with Kyrie. I believe that he ostracized him. I think if LeBron would have stepped in and was like, please don't ask Kyrie whether or not I'm a father figure to him, that would have went a long way. That would have went a long way. If he would have stepped in and said anything positive about him and not continuously talk about the kid. You know, the kid is good, the kid this, the kid that. Like, that's a grown man. You shouldn't reference him as a child if you're talking about, you know, him being on a level with you on this team, like as a captain. But you're constantly talking about him like he's your little brother. And I'm sure at some point in time, that's just going to rub someone the wrong way. Like, that just rubbed him the wrong way. And then another thing with LeBron is that Kyrie isn't stupid. He's seen this whole thing with LeBron before. When the teams are starting to fall apart and it doesn't get to, you know, it doesn't look like they're going to win anymore, LeBron leaves and the team is gutted. And Kyrie had already been part of a team that LeBron had just left. And I'm sure he didn't want to be part of that again because it's very clear that LeBron is going to leave again this summer. It doesn't make it, like, why would he stay?
Oh yeah, he definitely got drafted into that boneyard that Bron left him. So he got out of there quick. I understand that. Even if, you know, he probably didn't know for sure. Just like we don't know for sure what Bron is going to do in the off season. But he didn't take no chances though. He said, "I'm getting out of here."
You can't.
And I like that.
Depend on that. You can't depend on LeBron to stay. And then you sitting back, and it's like, okay, this is the same thing. Everybody is complaining about Kyrie's career, right? This is the whole thing with his career. whether or not he's good enough to lead a team and all of this other stuff. But one of the things people never seem to talk about is how young Kyrie was when he came in and took over that terrible team. Kyrie was what, 19 years old when he got drafted. That team on a
19 and only five college games.
only 5 college games on a terrible team, and they're acting like he was supposed to come directly into Cleveland and somehow just it doesn't matter who that team has on the roster. He's supposed to just take it over. He was a young guy coming to play on a bad team, and this is what happens when young guys play on bad teams. They don't play very well. So
right.
I think,
Well, the standard was set high. The standard was set high by a guy that they drafted prior to him. So now he's no LeBron James, but he definitely has some attributes that Bron doesn't have. It's just that overall, Bron is a better player.
And that's okay. I don't think it's such a bad thing for LeBron James to be a better basketball player than Kyrie Irving. I think the bad thing is that people didn't have any nuance when discussing him as a basketball player, as a young man playing on bad teams. I think there should have been some nuance when discussing him as a basketball player that young. That's why a lot of people, when he went to Boston, they were saying, I don't know if he could be the man. Yeah, well, maybe an 18-year-old Kyrie can't be the man, but maybe a 25-year-old Kyrie can. You have to have some nuance when you're discussing some of this stuff, man, as it feels like that people just don't really have it. They just say things because it's the cool thing or the in thing to say, or they think it's funny, but they don't really talk about, what's really going on with any nuance or like just with any common sense.
Yeah, and I don't. Well, it's the microwave era. So, I mean, I think it's just different. It's different. I think it's different expectations depending on the franchise and the player. So when you look at Kyrie coming into the whole Cleveland situation, Cleveland got a taste of greatness, and it was snatched away. And they like, look, this is supposed to be the hottest player coming out of college. I mean, coming out of college. We need to be back to where we was or close to it. And we don't have anything. Like that championship means a whole lot to them. So, I can see it. Like being a Lakers fan, we don't have no patience out here. So every year we need to get it together.
Tell me about it. All I hear is you damn Lakers. Good luck with that winning shit. I hope it all works out for you guys.
Hey,
I'm just saying, not at the expense of my Bulls. Anything else, you can win in the Western Conference, but if you have to play us, lose.
Yeah.
I just feel that, that about that Kyrie and LeBron situation. I didn't really feel like there was a lot of. I don't think people gave him. I think he got a raw deal on the whole thing. People talking about how he shouldn't have left, and not really understanding the growth that he had as a basketball player. I used to talk to my brother about this all the time because he said the same thing about how he didn't really like Kyrie, he didn't like his game. And I was like, yeah, well, there's a place for his game in the league today. And, I think a lot of the problems that people have with him as a basketball player are things, that everybody does in the league. And, yeah, I think we should give him a little bit of a chance. Then he went over to Boston and did what he had a hell of a season in Boston. I actually became a bigger Kyrie Irving fan because of what he did in Boston this year. I thought he was awesome in Boston this year. But we kind of jumping all over the place on the topic. We were supposed to be talking about the MVP, so I actually want to get back to talking about Steph.
Okay.
Do you think he had? We were talking about it when we were trying to record earlier. I don't think he had a bad game necessarily. I think he had a bad shooting game.
He had a bad shooting game, but as I stated earlier, is that's probably half of his game. And like I said, when Golden State is clicking on all cylinders, nobody can beat them. But they will beat themselves if they're not able to come out there and perform consistently. And I don't have time for them to be half-assing or lollygagging through the finals. Yeah, that's their thing. And it's It's like no, because after the finals is over, whether they lose or win, your franchise will be ranked amongst the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to those Bulls championships, they did it and they did it well. They would land around. Scotty or Kukoc didn't say, you know what? I think I can take game 2 and 3 off because I know for a fact that later down. No, we're trying to get this over with. The earlier this is done, the faster. Well, the earlier you get it over with, the faster you can celebrate.
Well, they're trying to get them up out of here, but in particular with Steph in that game last night, he did some really good things. Like they started trapping him hard in that game, trying to get him up out of there. So it was pretty much they were deciding that anybody but Steph was going to beat us, anybody but him, because he went off that last game, so they're trapping him hard. But unlike some point guards, and I'm not going to say any point guards' names, but I think you know the point guards I'm talking about. Instead of him just continuing to shoot the ball, he didn't. He moved without the ball. He kept the ball moving. He did the things that you would want a point guard to do when they're not shooting the ball very well. And a lot of the things that Kevin Durant was able to do on the basketball court were in direct correlation with the fact that they were employing an anybody but Steph ideology. They never double teamed KD because they were so worried about Stephen Curry. So KD basically had free reign. And I think that's a misunderstood part about the way that game was going last night. And when everyone talks about how badly Steph played, when in particular really it was just how badly he shot, he kept them honest because of just being the threat that he is, and then wasn't stupid enough to be a threat to his team and continue to shoot the ball when he knew he didn't have anything going. And even still, at the end of that game, if you listen to KD gave him all the credit in the world for hitting, what KD said was the biggest shot in the game. Which brings me back to whether or not, the whole MVP conversation about who should get it. I wouldn't be mad if they did a co-MVP thing. Has it ever been done in NBA Finals? Has anybody ever had a co-MVP? I don't believe that's ever happened.
Not that I could think of.
I think if it was ever going to happen, it should have happened in 2016 with Kyrie and LeBron. But I wouldn't be upset.
I swear you can ask my wife. We was in Vegas. I put money down on both of them. It was a prop bet that both of them had to score over 40, and both of them scored over 40 that game, I think. But I'm like, yeah, if anybody should get this, it should definitely be Kyrie. But I wouldn't be mad if Bron got it. But give it to both of them. But don't. Yes, they did. They played great.
They definitely deserved it. And I thought that's another thing with Kyrie leaving. You think about it like that. Like you hit the biggest shot in the game, you scored 40 points in what was it? Did he score 40 in the game before that too? Like it was two straight, like there's 40-point games in game 6 and then a 40-point game in game 7 and hit the biggest shot in the game. And the only thing you hear about is LeBron's block. Like at some point, a basketball player will get tired of that shit. Like I don't want my entire career to be in this dude's shadow. Some people aren't okay with being Scotty. And I think that's okay. Like it takes a special type of person to be okay with being Scotty. Scotty was special because he was able to understand what was what. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I also think it's special when the guy decides he doesn't want to be that anymore and he feels like he could be more. And
right, you can't really go against neither one. Like you salute a guy that says that pushes his ego to the side and said, "I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be this type of player for the franchise." And then you come out with 6 rings. But at the same time, when you look at it, Kyrie, he has that hunger in him, and then he's saying like, "Look, I know for a fact that I could be the guy for a franchise, and that's what I want to do." If that's his personal goals and he wants to prove that, then I can't be mad at him.
I couldn't either, and I didn't understand why so many people were like clowning him for wanting to leave LeBron James. I'm like, do you know how many people LeBron James has left? LeBron James constantly leaves people. He's constantly leaving people. He left Cleveland the first time because he couldn't win in Cleveland. when it was clear that they weren't going to win anymore in Miami. He left Miami, and he's about to do the same thing to Cleveland again. Like, I guess it's only okay when LeBron is doing it to his
Yeah,
fans.
man. Yeah,
The,
it's a weird situation because let's not forget who jersey they was burning as well. So
they were definitely burning that jersey, and then they were burning Kyrie's jersey when he left. I guess when you leave, it's burning jersey season time. This is what it is. It's gonna
is
burn
that
your
what they
jersey.
is that what they do in Cleveland? Do they just burn? They got money to throw away then, huh?
I don't know. I've been to Cleveland, and it don't look like they got a lot of goddamn money over there. I'm just gonna put that out there. It doesn't look like they're really affluent over in Cleveland. So before we're gonna get up out of here because I really just wanted to talk about that game yesterday. I mean, Kevin Durant was incredible. He hit some really, really difficult shots. The most important one to me was that jumper that he hit over Kevin Love, the one we went hard
Yeah.
left and pulled up. No business hitting that shot. The one where Love put his hands over his head like he couldn't believe he hit it. No business hitting that shot because that shot ended up putting them back up by one. And I don't think they went back down after he hit that shot. I think they were in the lead from that moment.
I think Cleveland either tied it, maybe went up one, or no. I don't know. I got to go back and watch that.
I'll look at it again.
I think I want to say my favorite KD shot. It was over. It was over. Larry Nance.
That fade
that
away
one was
when he looked at the bench.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, somebody.
I love being petty.
Somebody pissed him off. Not just on
they're
their
barking,
bench, but somebody in the crowd too, underneath the basket. Somebody was talking shit to him because a couple times after he hit a shot, he was walking towards the baseline and talking shit to somebody. And after he hit that 38-foot 3-pointer, he turned around and looked at the baseline on the other side and started talking shit to somebody on that side too. I guess they were just talking a whole bunch of shit in Cleveland, and I guess that's why he gave that look like you're like, man, I'm just fucking tired of y'all. Like I'm fed up.
Yeah, but to your point though, I want to say something to your point about Curry just having a bad shooting night, but he didn't have a bad, he didn't play bad. That we knew this from the beginning. Once KD came over there, that's the luxury. The reason why I give KD a lot of credit is because when Clay and Curry came out shooting bad, and this was, it was basically the whole, it was early. Yeah. He stepped up and he took control. That's where I get so frustrated and upset with Clay is because you still have KD there. He's supposed to do what he's supposed to do, and he will be held accountable if he don't do it. If Curry is having a bad game, I expect you to step up because you have that luxury. Because even like you just said, they're going to still double Curry because they don't want him to get on fire. Having KD on fire and having Curry on fire, that's not good for anybody.
No,
that's not good
30,
for anybody.
30-point ass whooping waiting to happen.
Yeah, so you're getting about 60, 65, maybe 70 points out of two players at that point. So to sit there and watch your man get double teamed, some of the game, and you're just over here throwing up some BS, like you got to get going. They have an offense where anybody can step up under the guy, whoever that guy is. We're looking for KD to be the guy. They might be looking for Curry to be the guy one game. But if someone is having an off game, that's where the luxury of having a Clay Thompson.
I guess, and I feel like those are his game sixes, though.
Yeah, but does it even have to get to a game six?
Probably not. But whenever they get to him, he tends to show up in a big way.
Well, let me see a game for Klay Thompson.
No, you're not getting game 4, Klay Thompson. you're not getting that. You're not getting that. But I mean, in game 1, what did he have? 25 points. He had 5 3-pointers in game 1, 25 points on that messed up ankle, and then he came back the next game and gave you 20 on that messed up ankle. And
everybody hurt. Everybody is hurt.
I mean, okay, hold on. But when you saw that fall, did you think that was a fall that he was going to come back from?
I thought it was pretty bad. That's when I thought when that happened, when
Yeah,
JR fell on him, I
the
said,
series was in the balance at that point.
yeah. I said, wow, this is what's going to happen now. So it might go 6 or 7
And then he just
with that
came
injury.
out.
With that injury alone.
Yeah, he came out and went and got taped up, came back out, and hit 5 3-pointers. Like it wasn't
Well, he
anything.
came back out. He came back out because I sent him a DM on Twitter. I said,
Oh,
"Stop being so goddamn light skinned and get your ass back on the goddamn court." That's why. That's why he got back out there. He probably still hurt, but he sucked it up.
he's
The
definitely
skin
still
tone
hurt.
got a little darker.
Man, you come over here and talk about light skinned people. Devin comes over here and talks about dark skinned people. You two dudes, man. I cannot deal with either one of y'all. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. So let's just say both Clay, and not Clay, obviously not Clay. Let's say both KD and Steph comes out tomorrow and they both go for like 30. Let's say they both go for 30.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets the MVP?
You know what? I would say, damn, that's a tough one. I would say, me personally, I think Curry had the first 2 games, and I think it would only be fair to give it to him if they even out. But knowing how society is, they're still high off of KD's last performance.
Yeah.
So they might give it to KD, but I would not be upset if both of them got it, if they just shared it.
I think
even though I feel like, come on, man, come on, you got to Curry does. I think the series is not over, but as of right now, I think he's leading it, by just a few points or whatever. So if KD comes out and drops another 40 and Curry drops 25 and 30, I'll give it to KD. Because that 40, I know that 40 that KD drops must have been a killer.
Yeah, they asked Draymond a question about that yesterday at the after the game. Is this a different type of killer mentality between those two dudes and the way that they go about their killing? They both are killers, but he's like, it's more flashy when Steph is doing it, but he's like, KD is generally just like shooting over you. And I don't know which one is more impressive or which one looks more impressive. I don't know if KD just shooting over the top of dudes looks more impressive, and I don't know if it's Steph, because he's crossing people over and shooting a bunch of threes, and it all looks good.
Both of them look it when they get in a zone, it's like some video game type stuff. So when Curry does it, his fan base under 18 years old, they go bananas. Because this is stuff that they do before practice start, because they know they can't do it in the game or we'll cuss their ass out and sit them down. But when KD does it, it just looks unstoppable. It just looks unstoppable.
Which is why I want to reference something that Chris said, and I've been saying it for a while. I do think that KD is the most lethal offensive player that game has ever seen, simply because I don't think we've ever had a 7 foot tall guy that could dribble the ball, shoot the ball, post up. Like, there's literally nothing that you can do with Kevin Durant. You can't do
there's nothing that you could do, but he can check out mentally. His post game is solid, but I got a couple of cats in a run, and I got Dirk up there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have Dirk.
I think Dirk is one of the. I think Dirk is he's a terrorist.
He is.
To me.
You know the only difference is, which is something that KD did last night. KD was getting the rebound and taking the ball up the court, and there was nothing they could do to stop him from doing what he was doing. Absolutely nothing. There was nothing they could do. He could get the rebound, and I think that's the difference between me or with big guys and little guys. It's like, okay, yeah, he could do all these things, but he still needs someone to get him the ball.
Oh, well, okay. Well, why
somebody to get him the ball?
Watch. That's true, because he can handle the ball way better than Dirk can. But at the same time,
some guards.
Yeah, that's true. But shout out, what about the fact that he has that luxury with 2 killers on the side? Everybody know the ball is going. Everybody knows the ball is going to Dirk, and everybody knows that once Dirk get the ball, he's not passing it because he doesn't have anybody to pass it to.
Yeah, but these are the same things that Steph was doing in OKC. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand that there's a whole thing where hating, but I think a lot of people forget just how good he was in OKC. He was a
Okay,
absolute terrorist then.
that's true. That's true. But I mean, before I even get to Dirk, I want to extend my apologies to my elders. Have we not forgot about Jeffrey?
No, I mean I understand. It's something different about Mike too. Like it feels different. Like with KD when he gets to doing what it is that he does. It like everything. It just feels different. It feels
But Dre,
helpless.
but Dre, I sat there and watched these Chicago games, not just in the finals against Utah. No, I'm talking about regular season against the Knicks. I mean, you know how many times I sit up there and watch the coach, waited for the coach to call the timeout? Oh,
How many
you're
times
about to
did you
call this
watch
time.
it in the finals when they were playing the Lakers? Yeah, you watched it a lot then.
Oh, well, you know what? I was too young to realize what was going on.
I remember it very well. I remember it very well. I'll put that out there for you. I remember that.
I sat there and watched. I sat there and watched at a young age. I'm like, wait, we're just about to go to another commercial break because MJ is heating up and they got to call a timeout, which it really didn't matter because we're talking about Jeffrey was a different type of.
He was a
He was just
different
different.
animal. He was a different
Yeah.
type of animal. Just like for me, offensively, if you ask me this one question, and actually, I'll ask you this: if you had one skill set for any player, like right now, like who would you like? What skill set would you rather have? I don't know if I would want to have anybody else's skill set besides KD's. Like that tall,
Mm.
that ability to shoot. Like he's Steph Curry, but he's 7 inches taller.
Skill set, just skill set alone, not athleticism.
No, offensive skill set, just skill set, just the offensive skill set.
I would have to say it would have to be between it'd have to be between KD and Steph, only because we're labeling Steph. Steph he's one of the, if not the greatest shooter of all time. So if you can shoot, you can work on everything else.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd rather be that guard. I'd rather be that guard that could shoot and learn how to protect the ball and learn how to scan the floor and be a point guard than to be a guy that could do everything else but can't shoot. And then when it comes down to a big shot that I need to take, I'm not confident in taking
I
it
think
because
that's
I
why
know
I'm
I can't
picking
shoot.
KD because it's like the best of both worlds, and not just that is and that's actually why Golden State needed KD because there are
Mm-hmm.
points in the game where you need a bucket, and I don't think you can get it from Steph. I don't think you can get some of the buckets that you get from KD from Steph. That's why some of the times he gets shut down. You can stop
Yeah.
Steph sometimes. There is
Yeah.
absolutely no stopping KD when KD has it going. You're not stopping him. You can forget about it. He's too
Right.
tall. Like
Right.
even when he wasn't hitting 3 pointers because he was struggling with his 3 pointer to start this playoffs. Pretty much throughout the entire playoffs, he was struggling with the 3 point shot. He just goes into the post and shoots right over the top of somebody. This is what he does because he's 7 feet tall. He's taller than everybody. His arms are longer. When he extends his arms, he's probably close to like 10 feet tall. You can't contest the shot. There's nothing you can do with him. You can kind of do something with Steph. Like all that dribbling and shit,
Mm-hmm.
people can shut that down. But it's hard to shut down the dude who just says, okay, I'm going to go to the post and shoot over the top of you.
They can shut down step dribbling. I haven't seen anybody shut dribbling. That's
No,
a
I
whole
haven't seen
two.
that.
Now I got a closing question. I got a closing question. With all this Steph, with all this KD talk, with all this Golden State, one of the craziest teams assembled. In the near future, who do you see? What franchise do you see coming close to taking them down? Whether it's in
Boston.
the playoffs or in Boston, that's it.
Boston. I mean, if yeah, it's a lot of interesting things that can happen in the off season. LeBron go to Houston. maybe that that could be a real tough thing. But I still feel like the same issue with Houston is going to that existed this year will exist next year. The problem is always going to be the same thing as long as you got CP injury on your team. Like I've said the same thing about Chris Paul. I know I talk a lot of shit about him. Chris Paul is a top 5, 6 point guard for me of all time, probably 5.
Yeah,
but it's always the same problem with him. He vacillates between 2 things: being really, really, or 3 things: being really, really good, being bad, or being hurt. And I don't see anything changing with that. I mean, he's probably going to be hurt next year too because Chris Paul gets hurt.
that's what he does.
I would have said Philly, but this whole thing with Colangelo, I'm not sure if any team, like any free agents, are going to want to play there. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep their talent because of the thing that just happened with Colangelo. They may have had a shot at LeBron, but once again, the thing with Colangelo puts all of that in disarray. Who knows what's going to happen with them? Boston has.
Did they destroy the process? Boom, boom.
They definitely destroyed the process with Colangelo's wife airing all of the dirty laundry. But I think it's Boston. I mean, if any team has a real shot, it's them. You got Tatum.
So you saying
Brown,
you saying with PG? No, I'm sorry. I'm saying feel disrespected. You saying that PG-13?
I just left the Lakers out.
No, right. You can't. You can't. We have the pieces to destroy that machine over there. Do we not?
What pieces?
Well, if we can add a PG-13 or a Kawhi Leonard or maybe a Bron, maybe I think we have the necessary.
You're not getting Kawhi. We could get that right now. Why would San Antonio help you guys get Kawhi? Why would they do that?
Ah, man, San Antonio days is numbered.
I understand,
that window is closed.
Why would they help you? Like they just watched Cleveland do the exact same thing that people are pushing for them to do, and it did not work out very well for them. I know they got to the finals, but that's just because of LeBron, and now LeBron is going to be gone next year, so it's not really going to work out that well for them, going forward. Kawhi has 2 years left on his contract. You better play them things out, buddy. We're gonna offer you this $216 million, and we're gonna see who flinches first, because it ain't gonna be us. Now you may get Paul George. Have fun.
He might want to. I think there's a home conspiracy going on. I think LA is trying to get all of the Cali cats back. I think they are.
So you think they're gonna get PG? They can't get Russ because he signed that contract, so they won't be getting.
No, I don't think. I don't think they're gonna try to get Russ, but I think they might try to get PG-13 and Kawhi to come back home.
We'll see. With that, I still don't think you beating Houston if you don't get LeBron.
Man, I'm not worried about Houston. They got 27 things to work on over there.
I'm not a Houston fan, but I'm not gonna scoff at 65 wins in the Western Conference Finals to say a team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are just going to take that away from them. Now, okay, if what we're hearing is true and Houston goes after Paul George and they can get him, then they're right back in the situation where they're in the Western Conference Finals and fighting Golden State, because I understand everybody thinks they would have beaten Golden State if Chris Paul was healthy, but they were well on their way to being down 3-1 before Andre Iguodala got hurt. So by that same token, if Andre Iguodala doesn't get hurt, they probably lose in 5, no matter who's healthy. So CP injury, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to pub? I know you got a million podcasts, a million guest appearances. Your Baylor.
No, I mean, BTG for president, open run with BTG. My daughter's right here trying to get in the mix. I drop every Wednesday and Thursday. Baylor the Great on Twitter. Y'all can hop up in that thread if you dare. I'm telling them. I'm telling them right now.
At your own risk, man.
Yeah, at your own risk. Don't take it personal. You know what I'm saying? And don't bring up look. Don't bring up Lakers. Don't bring up LeVar Ball, and don't bring up CP3, and you'll be absolutely fine.
Don't say anything about Steph Curry either. I know that's difficult.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Don't bring up Steph either, and MVPs and shooting
and ref corruption because that'll bring Andrew out again. And
oh yeah. Obviously. Oh yeah, and don't bring up anything about Boston. Anything.
Yeah, nobody likes Boston. So
just don't come in there.
Leave it to the 25 people that live in there already. Don't get your feelings hurt. You guys know where to find us. It's according to sources at gmail.com. If you have questions, it's A2 Sources on Twitter, according to sources on Facebook. According to sources is also the website that no longer exists anymore because it got hacked. We're part of a podcasting network, the ETMF Podcast Network, where you can find podcasts on multiple different topics, movies, video games, music, whatever you peruse. You'll probably find something that you like. So for Baylor, I'm Dre. This has been According to Sources, and we out. Peace.
Jason Whitlock, you're 7 cans of shark shit.
Word to Devin.